all orders of angelic hosts regard him as their coordinating director, while the United Midwayers, since the departure of 123 the First to become one of the 24 counselors, really look upon the successive governors-general as their planetary fathers. Although the governor-general does not possess actual and personal authority on the planet, he hands down scores of rulings and decisions each day which are accepted as final by all personalities concerned. He is much more of a fatherly advisor than a technical ruler. In certain ways he functions as would a planetary prince, but his administration much more closely resembles that of the material suns. The Urantia government is represented in the councils of Jerusalem in accordance with an arrangement whereby the returning governor-general sits as a temporary member of the system sovereign's cabinet of planetary princes. It was expected, when Makaventa was designated vicegerent prince, that he would immediately assume his place in the council of the planetary princes of Satania, but thus far he has made no gesture in this direction. The supermaterial government of Urantia does not maintain a very close organic relationship with the higher units of the local universe. In a way, the resident governor-general represents Salvington as well as Jerusalem, since he acts on behalf of the 24 counselors who are directly representative of Michael and Gabriel. And being a Jerusalem citizen, the planetary governor can function as a spokesman for the system sovereign. The constellation authorities are represented directly by a Verandadek's son, the Edensia observer. 4. The Most High Observer. The sovereignty of Urantia is further complicated by the one-time arbitrary seizure of planetary authority by the government of Norlatiadek shortly after the planetary rebellion. There is still resident on Urantia a Verandadek's son, an observer for the Most Highs of Edensia, and, in the absence of direct action by Michael, trustee of planetary sovereignty. The present Most High Observer, and sometime regent, is the 23rd thus to serve on Urantia. There are certain groups of planetary problems which are still under the control of the Most Highs of Edensia, jurisdiction over them having been seized at the time of the Lucifer Rebellion. Authority in these matters is exercised by a Verandadek's son, the Norlatiadek observer, who maintains very close advisory relations with the planetary supervisors. The race commissioners are very active on Urantia, and their various group chiefs are informally attached to the resident Verandadek observer, who acts as their advisory director. In a crisis, the actual and sovereign head of the government, excepting in certain purely spiritual matters, would be this Verandadek's son of Edensia, now on observation duty. In these exclusively spiritual problems, and in certain purely personal matters, the supreme authority seems to be vested in the commanding archangel attached to the divisional headquarters of that order, which was recently established on Urantia. A Most High Observer is empowered at his discretion to seize the planetary government in times of grave planetary crises, and it is of record that this has happened 33 times in the history of Urantia. At such times the Most High Observer functions as the Most High Regent, exercising unquestioned authority over all ministers and administrators resident on the planet, excepting only the divisional organization of the archangels. Verandadek regencies are not peculiar to rebellion-isolated planets, for the Most Highs may intervene at any time in the affairs of the inhabited worlds, interposing the superior wisdom of the constellation rulers in the affairs of the kingdoms of men. 5. The planetary government. The actual administration of Urantia is indeed difficult to describe. There exists no formal government along the lines of universe organization, such as separate legislative, executive, and judicial departments. The 24 counselors come the nearest to being the legislative branch of the planetary government. The Governor-General is a provisional and advisory chief executive, with the veto power resident in the Most High Observer. And there are no absolutely authoritative judicial powers operative on the planet, only the conciliating commissions. A majority of the problems involving Seraphim and Midwayers are, by mutual consent, decided by the Governor-General. But except when voicing the mandates of the 24 counselors, his rulings are all subject to appeal to conciliating commissions, to local authorities constituted for planetary function, or even to the system sovereign of Satania. The absence of the corporeal staff of a planetary prince and the material regime of an Adamic son and daughter is partially compensated by the special ministry of seraphim and by the unusual services of the midway creatures. The absence of the planetary prince is effectively compensated by the triune presence of the archangels, the Most High Observer, and the Governor-General. This rather loosely organized and somewhat personally administered planetary government is more than expectedly effective because of the time-saving assistance of the archangels and their ever-ready circuit, which is so frequently utilized in planetary emergencies and administrative difficulties. Technically, the planet is still spiritually isolated in the Norlatia circuits, but in an emergency, this handicap can now be circumvented through utilization of the Archangel's circuit. Planetary isolation is, of course, of little concern to individual mortals, since the pouring out of the Spirit of Truth upon all flesh, 1900 years ago. Each administrative day on Urantia begins with a consultative conference, which is attended by the Governor-General, the Planetary Chief of Archangels, the Most High Observer, the Supervising Supernaphim, the Chief of Resident Life Carriers, and invited guests from among the high sons of the universe, or from among certain of the student visitors who may chance to be sojourning on the planet. The direct administrative cabinet of the Governor-General consists of 12 seraphim, the acting chiefs of the 12 groups of special angels functioning as the immediate superhuman directors of planetary progress and stability. 6. The Master Seraphim of Planetary Supervision. When the first Governor-General arrived on Urantia, concurrent with the outpouring of the Spirit of Truth, he was accompanied by 12 corps of special seraphim, Seraphington graduates, who were immediately assigned to certain special planetary services. These exalted angels are known as the Master Seraphim of Planetary Supervision, and are, aside from the over-control of the planetary Most High Observer, under the immediate direction of the resident Governor-General. These 12 groups of angels, while functioning under the general supervision of the resident Governor-General, are immediately directed by the Seraphic Council of 12, the acting chiefs of each group. This council also serves as the volunteer cabinet of the resident Governor-General. As Planetary Chief of Seraphim, I preside over this council of Seraphic Chiefs, and I am a volunteer supernaphim of the primary order serving on Urantia as the successor of the one-time chief of the angelic hosts of the planet who defaulted at the time of the Caligastia secession. The 12 corps of the Master Seraphim of Planetary Supervision are functional on Urantia as follows. 1. The Epical Angels. These are the angels of the current age, the dispensational group. These celestial ministers are entrusted with the oversight and direction of the affairs of each generation, as they are designed to fit. Serving on Urantia is the third group assigned to the planet during the current dispensation. 2. The Progress Angels. These seraphim are entrusted with the task of initiating the evolutionary progress of the successive social ages. They foster the development of the inherent progressive trend of evolutionary creatures. They labor incessantly to make things what they ought to be. The group now on duty is the second to be assigned to the planet. 3. The Religious Guardians. These are the angels of the churches, the earnest contenders for that which is and has been. They endeavor to maintain the ideals of that which has survived for the sake of the safe transit of moral values from one epoch to another. They are the checkmates of the angels of progress, all the while seeking to translate from one generation to another the imperishable values of the old and passing forms into the new and therefore less stabilized patterns of thought and conduct. These angels do contend for spiritual forms, but they are not the source of ultra-sectarianism and meaningless controversial divisions of professed religionists. The corps now functioning on Urantia is the fifth thus to serve. 4. The Angels of Nation Life. These are the angels of the trumpets, directors of the political performances of Urantia national life. The group now functioning in the over-control of international relations is the fourth corps to serve on the planet. It is particularly through the ministry of this seraphic division that the Most Highs rule in the kingdoms of men. 5. The Angels of the Races. Those who work for the conservation of the evolutionary races of time regardless of their political entanglements and religious groupings.